good morning, and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join the show. You can call, you can text. That number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Lots of things coming up for you on the show today. Our colleague here at Civic Media, Jimmie Kaska, is going to join us after the 10:30 news. Jimmie had a thread on Blue Sky yesterday that I thought was just so impactful, especially after the shooting at the Abundant Life School in Madison this week. And Jimmie has two small children, and they had to have a hard discussion. Yes. And that's what he shared in this thread yesterday on Blue Sky. And I thought it was really important, and it's an important discussion for us to have. So Jimmie is going to be joining us after the 10:30 news. Of course, it is Wednesday, so Dr. Laura Hanks will be here with public Cervix announcements at 11:33, and we will wrap up the show, as we always do, with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today, it's the Let's Just Keep It Between Us edition. If you ever have a thing you think should not be, send it in to Greg and me at Jane Says, JANESAYS, Jane Says, at civicmedia.us. And don't forget, 3 more days for the statewide Text to Win Grown-Up Gift List Contest. Next hour, right after the 11 o'clock news, we'll have a keyword for you. You want to text the keyword in via the Civic Media app. So if you don't have the app yet, download the app. It's free. It's got great features on it. You can listen to any station all across the state. Check out all the different shows via the Civic Media app. But next hour, you want to text that keyword via the Civic Media app, and then you're in the running for either $100 cash, maybe an overnight getaway to Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. And whether or not you win anything, everyone who enters will be qualified for one of 8 grand prizes, from espresso machines to robot vacuums to a snowblower.
Which you're going to be needing this week, maybe?
Yeah, it looks like it. Brittany Merlot will join us tomorrow to talk snow. But make sure you're listening next hour, right after the 11 o'clock news, for that keyword. Some of our previous winners include Jessica in Cudahy. She was listening on WAUK. And then, I love this so much, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about doing this show is just learning, and you've said the same thing, all the things that we learn about our state.
Yeah.
And did you know that there's a Butternut, Wisconsin?
A Butternut, Wisconsin?
Butternut, Wisconsin. I love that there's a Butternut, Wisconsin. Lisa from Butternut was also one of our hourly winners. She listens to the stream out of Park Falls on WCQM.
I have to, hold on one second here. Just get a
Butternut, Wisconsin. It's near Park Falls, Ashland County.
The thing I need to know is population 367.
Isn't that cute?
My God.
And I think there's like a Butternut Lake Lodge.
Yep.
We need a road trip.
Oh, welcome to the village of Butternut.
We need to go see Lisa from Butternut.
Homes of contest winners, Lisa.
Absolutely. So be like Jessica in Cudahy or Lisa from Butternut, and make sure you play our statewide Text to Win Grown-Up Gift List Contest. That is coming your way next hour. Wanted to start off, though, with a little update on Wisconsin Senior Senator Ron Johnson.
I hate when we call him that.
But he is.
I know.
He is the senior senator. Lawrence Andrea in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel headline reads, Ron Johnson poised to scrutinize federal agencies, work closely with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Ron Johnson will be in the Senate majority in the next Congress, and he is poised to lead the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee's permanent subcommittee on investigations. They could save money if they would just shorten some of the names of some of these committees. Yes, he's going to lead the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee's permanent subcommittee on investigations. Ron Johnson telling the Journal-Sentinel he will turn the committee's attention inward to federal agencies as he follows the lead of Trump's new cabinet picks, some of whom are keen on changing the makeup of the government. Rojo says he also wants to work very closely with Robert Kennedy Jr. in exploring issues like the efficacy of vaccines, something both men have repeatedly cast doubt upon despite guidance from health professionals. I will do my role, he says, complimentary to what they're going to be trying to do to root out corruption in those agencies themselves. The agencies in the first Trump administration undermined and sabotaged him. I expect they're going to try to do the same thing.
If by undermine and sabotage you mean they did their jobs, sure, okay, fine.
And stopping him from his worst own impulses?
Yeah, because if he had his way, we'd all be blasting light and bleach into our systems.
Well, didn't Ron say that we should just gargle?
Yes, he did.
We could just gargle with mouthwash, which would fight off COVID.
Being a representative and a vigilant defender of the vaccine injured,
The vaccine injured, yes.
is the whole reason why he ran for a third term. Something he said he wasn't going to do.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's his big focus.
The vaccine injured folks.
The other thing that I find really interesting is, so he's looking, at rooting out corruption in these agencies. If you look at some of the incoming cabinet members, almost every single one of them has a major conflict of interest with the agency they will be running.
First of all, most of them aren't qualified to run the agencies.
Well, there's that.
There's a huge conflict.
That would be, in some administrations, that might be considered a problem.
Yeah.
Not this time around.
Nah.
I mean, the guy who wants to head NASA is a buddy of Elon's. Elon himself has hundreds of millions of dollars worth of government contracts.
Yeah.
But we don't have to worry about him giving himself any sweet deals.
Well,
right?
he's just trying to influence now reporting on crash tests, and he's also trying to put the screws on Rivian, which is his main competitor as far as the electric car scene is concerned too. Yeah, Elon, what a free speech warrior American to the end. This is so bad.
Johnson says he will focus his attention, including probing to what extent government agencies captured by the businesses they're supposed to be regulating, to what extent does that corrupt the process? If you're looking for corruption in federal agencies, I think you're going to find a lot in this next administration. You should be, Ron, very, very busy.
Yeah, you're going to find a lot. Also, a lot of industries run these government. They have lobbying firms. They write legislation.
He takes money from these lobbyists.
Yeah, this is hokum. This is dumb. He's dumb.
There's a number of things we need to mop up, says Ron Johnson. There's a lot of corruption through these agencies, so it's going to be kind of a target-rich environment. Johnson said Trump needs very strong fighters to lead his administration. His complementary role will be to help extract information to reveal to the public the corruption that exists in there and the corruption that needs to be fixed and rooted out. Again, he wants to work very closely with Robert Kennedy Jr.
Oh, God. No.
Robert Kennedy Jr., of course, has said for decades that there are no safe vaccines.
Which is incorrect.
And he's now, of course, he's trying to backtrack from that and said, I never said that. Yeah, you did. It's on video. We've watched it. Kennedy's already talking about pulling polio. Pulling a polio vaccine.
Yes. Yeah, that's one where it.
And as we were putting the show plan together, then I found this. Again, Ron Johnson ran for a third term so he could help the vaccine injured. Quote reads from science.org, infamous paper that popularized unproven COVID-19 treatment finally retracted. Study on hydroxychloroquine, remember that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Gets pulled on ethical and scientific grounds. This was published yesterday. A 2020 paper that sparked widespread enthusiasm for hydroxychloroquine as a COVID-19 treatment was retracted after years of campaigns by scientists who said the research contained major scientific flaws and may have breached ethical regulations. One of the things that the scientists had problem with was the sample size. Guess how many patients they studied with this hydroxychloroquine, which is an anti-malarial drug.
2,100.
36.
3,600. That's a lot of people.
No. 36.
36?
36 patients.
Like what, the age I turned last week? Mm-hmm.
36.
Wow.
The paper was submitted March 16th of 2020, published 4 days later, March 24th, a scientific integrity consultant, who knew that was a thing, said that 6 patients who were treated with hydroxychloroquine had been dropped from the study. 1 died, and 3 were moved to intensive care. So that took them out of the study and actually skewed the results in favor of hydroxychloroquine. You can't, you would be hard-pressed to make this up.
Well, the problem is this has been retracted, debunked, all the things. Science once again wins. Science wins, but this doesn't matter because we still have people who cite that debunked paper from a decade ago about autism and vaccines.
Oh, I know.
And if you say, well, it were 36 people, all this information saying that it's not true. Well, that's what they want you to believe.
Right.
That's what they want you. That's why.
Right.
That's why RFK Jr. is going to get in there. He's going to make America healthy again. He's going to pull those vaccinations, and we're going to be a better country until people start dying from polio again.
855-752-4842 if you would like to join this conversation, talking about Wisconsin Senior Senator Ron Johnson's plans as we enter a second Trump administration. We will continue this discussion. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
She gives me and she starts to cry. She takes a swing, man. She can't help. She don't mean no harm. She just don't know what else to do about it.
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board. Coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. You can call, you can text 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Next week, a week from today, is Christmas Day.
And my Christmas shopping's almost done. I got 3 things left to get.
Good for you. I'm almost done too.
Yeah.
But we are switching it up a little bit across Civic Media for Christmas Day.
It's my show on Wednesday?
It's not your show Wednesday. No, we're gonna kick into Christmas.
How are we doing that, Jane?
From 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve, all throughout Christmas Day.
Okay.
All of our Civic Media stations, including the news talk stations like us on WAUK, are going to be playing your favorite Christmas classics.
Okay.
And then Pete Schwab is going to do a special 4 to 6 p.m. nightlight.
I love that.
On Christmas Eve.
I love that.
To kind of set you up. And then we're going to go full blown into Christmas tunes for all of Christmas Eve and all of Christmas Day. We'll still have news updates and weather updates and things like that. But don't be surprised if you tune in next week at this time and you're hearing Holly Jolly Christmas.
Just make the generally logical conclusion that if you're hearing Christmas music on Christmas Day, we're playing Christmas music on Christmas Day. But also, you are not going to hear us on Thursday and Friday of next week either.
That's right. Greg and I taking a couple of days off. Dan Schaefer will be here on the 26th.
Correct.
And then Matt Rothschild.
Correct.
Will be here on Friday the 27th.
Yes.
So again, full-blown Christmas music next Wednesday, starting Christmas Eve at 6 p.m., all across the Civic Media Radio Network. I hope you enjoy it. Before we went to the break, we were talking about Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, talking about how much he's looking forward to working with Robert Kennedy Jr. in the next administration. He says he is going to be probing instances of people injured by COVID vaccines and taking a look at what we put in our food, which is good. We should look at what we put in our food. But Ron sent a letter to the leaders of HHS, the CDC, and the FDA, calling transparency there appalling and accusing them of hiding relevant information from Congress regarding the development and safety of the COVID-19 vaccines. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Wait, the HHS?
Yeah. The first COVID vaccine was developed under the Trump administration, right? Yes. Yes.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yep. Yeah.
CDC has noted severe reactions to the COVID vaccines are rare, and health officials pushing back on the data that Ron Johnson often uses to talk about reported vaccine injuries. It's going to be interesting. We can counter this by something else I found in today's Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Milwaukee County health officials holding mobile flu COVID vaccine clinics this month. Good. So if you have not gotten vaccinated yet, they're going to help make it easier for you because our vaccination numbers are not good.
No, they're not.
Wisconsin Department of Health Services indicates 28% of us in Wisconsin have gotten flu shots. 28%, 14% have gotten their updated COVID vaccines. So they're going to do this mobile clinic and vaccine event held around the state. We're going to include this in the show notes, which you can always find at civicmedia.us. Click on shows, go to Matenaer On Air, and that will have all of the past episodes. We have up to 100 old episodes there that you can go back and listen. And Greg includes the links in our show notes so you can check this out. But they vary from the McGovern Senior Center. And one of the concerns is people who are lower income and elderly, if they can't, not having the ability to get somewhere to get vaccinated. So that's one of the reasons why they're doing this. It starts today at the McGovern Senior Center at 45th and Custer. There will be one tomorrow at the Clinton Rose Senior Center. There's one on next Friday at the West Milwaukee Comprehensive Treatment Center. And they are absolutely free, no out-of-pocket cost if you have an activated insurance card. Uninsured people can be redirected to the City of Milwaukee Health Department walk-in clinics. Get vaccinated, folks.
Get vaccinated. There's no reason not to. There really isn't. I used to not get the flu vaccine.
I didn't either for a long time.
And granted, no one's saying that the flu vaccination is creating autism or the vaccine injured. But I just now, as my mom and my mother-in-law get older, and as I get older too, it just makes sense. You go and get the jab. 2 jabs, you're done.
And in 2 days, you're usually fine.
Yeah, your arm's going to hurt a little bit, but that's just the way it goes.
Yep.
It's the price you pay to live in the country.
My husband is going for his 2nd shingles series today.
Yeah.
But
no,
that's,
thank you.
But that's something, you don't want shingles either.
Oh.
So anyway, we will include that link in our show notes. If you or someone you know would still like to get vaccinated, do that.
Yeah.
They're going to try and make it as easy for you as possible. We have news coming up next. When we return, our colleague here at Civic Media, Jimmie Kaska, will join us. He had a great piece on Blue Sky yesterday about talking to young children about what happened in Madison this week. So we're going to kick that around with Jimmie Kaska after the news. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
She told me this is one for your dad. Yes, she did. And I'm like, why? Lady? I love you. I still love you. Forget you. I just a change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like, forget you and
Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Cal B coming to you live from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on a live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Of course, still very much in the news. The shooting earlier this week at the school in Madison, Abundant Life Christian School. 2 people were killed, including the shooter. 3 people were killed, including the shooter. At least 2 other students, I believe, are still hospitalized in critical condition. And I was on Blue Sky yesterday and saw this thread from our colleague, Jimmie Kaska, who is our sports director here at Civic Media, that just really hit me hard. And I wanted to have him on so we can talk about this and about how you talk to your kids when something like this happens. So, Jimmie, thank you so much for being here. How you doing this morning?
Well, I'm happy to be on the show, although under different circumstances, it might have been a more pleasant subject, but
Yeah.
Grateful for the opportunity to talk a little bit about it.
Well, now you have young children. You have young kids.
Yeah, my oldest is 8 and my youngest is 6, so elementary school age kids.
And can you take us through the thread? You're going to post it on Civic Media a little bit later on today because it's turned out to be quite a lengthy piece, which is wonderful. But tell us about your thread on Blue Sky yesterday and what prompted all of this.
So I think it's no secret if you're watching on social media, you can see I work from home because I cover all of our stations in Civic Media for sports. So there's not really a central location for that. So I get to have the opportunity to work from home most days. And in part of my duties, I get to do newscasts for our lacrosse station, WLCX. And, in the mornings when my kids are getting ready, I'm usually recording some newscasts. I'm putting together things. I don't really think a lot of it because, I start at like 6 in the morning, 6:30, and drop off isn't until, around 7:30. So I'm recording things, not really thinking that my kids might just be hanging out, waiting for dad to be done talking to come say hi to me in the morning. It's a routine. It's pretty normal. And, for me, I don't necessarily filter what I put into a newscast because it's for public consumption. Whatever. It's not things that kids normally pay attention to, but obviously yesterday morning the big story is the school shooting that happened at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, and every newscast led with it. So I did 4 variations of the same story, not really realizing that outside of my office door my kids are waiting for me to be done talking so they can come and say hi to me after they wake up. We get in the car, getting ready to head to school, and it's only a few blocks, drive from my house to school. And as I'm, getting myself buckled in, just very quietly from the back seat, I hear the question, Dad, what is a school shooting? And I'll be honest, I froze for a minute. I stumbled. I said, where did you hear that? Why do you know why are you asking that? And then I realized it hit me. It's like, oh, well, my newscast this morning, all 4 of them led with what happened in Madison. So
they heard it.
That's how they heard it. And it may be bad on me for exposing them, I guess, to something like that. Not, again, thinking in the context of, recording news from home that this is something that would come up. But, hearing the question and hearing how quiet he was and asking it, I knew he already knew what the answer was. Because my 8-year-old, and all parents will say this about their kids, but my 8-year-old's pretty smart, probably smarter than me at this point. He can do math and I can't. So we pulled off, block from home. He asked a question and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to take them to school right away. We're going to talk about it. Spent a couple of minutes just explaining what it was. I was very matter of fact, explaining what it was. Saying that, it's something that unfortunately happens more and more where we live in America. And it's something that's happened, twice this year, twice in the last 7 months in South Central Wisconsin, and we're in Southwestern Wisconsin. So, giving them that chance, they didn't seem too distraught over the answer. They didn't seem too upset about it. I did make sure to tell them they can talk to a counselor, a teacher, an adult, or go to the office and have them call me and I'll come down to the school if they're feeling anxious, nervous, scared, whatever it is, whatever they're feeling. I'm happy to come down and, talk to them about it. And from that, I learned that my kids didn't know that they could go to the office and call me. So now I'm just waiting for them to ask me, to bring them a lunch or something. But, it wasn't a conversation I was expecting to have at this age, obviously. Young kids typically don't, ask that question, right? That's not something you expect from an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. But on the other hand, as a parent, it was an opportunity to, not only talk about something difficult, but give myself a chance to listen and hear what, how does this affect them, right? So I let them ask questions, some that I just can't answer. I can't predict when the next one will be. I can't predict that it'll never happen where we live. That's the saying, right? With school shootings, they can happen anywhere, and that's what makes it terrifying. And I did add, I said, if I didn't feel like you were safe going to school, I wouldn't be dropping you off here. In my district, I'm on the school board. I'm a coach. I'm a volunteer. I'm in their classrooms, helping with spelling words. They're probably more helping me with spelling words, to be honest. But I'm there to hold the flashcards and be there. So I'm in the schools. People see me, and I'm not an expert on any of this, right? I'm not an expert on school security or what the best thing is. And if I was, I'd probably be a highly paid consultant instead of a guy who talks sports on Civic Media, right? But I've spent time learning as much as I can about it, knowing that a lot of schools go to referendum and putting right in their referendum line that the money that they're looking for updates to the school, of the 139 fall referendum, 40 of them included the word security in the referendum language. So a good portion of what's being asked for by schools is money to help update, infrastructure, pay for security technology. A lot of these buildings have to be retrofitted because they're decades, in our district's case, 127 years old, one of our buildings. So you have to retrofit these buildings for security, right? Because you want to have a safe space for kids to come to. And it's a very limited approach to it. But this is really all I can do as a parent and as a community member, volunteer, board member. Board members don't have a whole lot of power in these things. I'm just one guy on a board. And this is really all I can do to help, learn more and provide some measure of, you're going to a space where I feel that you're safe being in. And that's in lieu of having any incoming federal or state, laws or legislation being made. Everything's gridlocked. So locally, as school districts, your hands are kind of tied. You got to do with what you got. And that's why we see a lot of referendums. As I said, 40 of 139 mentioned the word security. It's up to the schools to figure it out. And, with very limited resources, that's what districts are being asked to do.
If you're just joining us, Jimmie Kaska is our guest. He is our colleague and Civic Media sports director, and he's got a great thread on Blue Sky that you put up yesterday, and he will have a longer article that will go up on Civic Media a little bit later on today. But he has 2 young children, 8 and 6, and the question happened yesterday, what's a school shooting? And Jimmie, from everything that I've seen from child psychologists and everything like that, I would say that you did the right thing, because they all say, the experts say, that you should let your child lead the discussion. And that's kind of what you did.
Sorry to interrupt. I did it because going to school on Tuesday after this happens on Monday, I'm thinking to myself on the way, it's why I stopped the car. I'm like, well, they're either going to hear about it from me, or they're going to hear about it from kids on the playground or at recess. Yeah. Or maybe they bring it up as a staff or as a teacher. I don't think our school did that. I think they just addressed it with staff. They didn't address it with students. But I thought that if they were going to learn about it or talk about it, it should be in a safe spot. My kids seem to trust me. My kids really enjoy me as a dad when mom's not around, because we do what we like to call breaking rules, which usually involves ice cream for dinner. So that's me as a parent. It's just what I do, man. Nobody has this parenting thing figured out, but ice cream for dinner always seems like a winner. So, that's good on me. But
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I assume then that the school that your kids go to does not have active shooter drills. Or do they?
We did have a lockdown drill this year in our district. An active shooter drill is not something with the kids. It's something that was discussed. They haven't had one since before COVID. So it's been a while since the district had one, but the active shooter drills themselves, when you have students involved, can be traumatizing. And that was a big concern, that if you pretend that you have this situation, right, that there's somebody in the school that's trying to do harm to you, that can be traumatizing in itself. So the lockdown drill was more about making sure doors were locked, making sure that kids were in the right spot in their rooms. And then they actually held a staff one before students arrived this fall, that was actually that active drill without students in the building, so that staff could train on what their protocols were. Found some weak points, and they actually addressed two of the big ones by, believe it or not, finding a way to lock two very outdated doors on the CTE wing, and also adding a digital verification process to be a visitor in the school. So now when you go in, you have to have a photo ID that gets scanned and it prints a badge for you. So schools are finding ways to try to make things safer, more secure. I know, and just speaking from my experience in our referendum, we're building two completely new entrances to the school that buzz you into an area. You can only go to the office from there, and then from the office you can be released into the school if you're allowed. Also, I got to learn a lot, and this is kind of heartbreaking in itself, but I got to learn about the different grades of bulletproof or bullet resistant glass, as well as film that you can put on windows and doors to make them shatter resistant or shatterproof. And these are not things I ever anticipated learning about as a school board member, but a lot of time was dedicated to this. Also in this, this part of it actually really, because we built the new elementary wing as part of the referendum, and we had a meeting discussing the windows that go into the wing, because natural light is very important in education, because having the fluorescence draining you out of the day, it gives me headaches. I can't imagine being a kid in a school all day with that. But talking about the windows and making sure in the design, because we have two law enforcement members on our board, that they can only open from the inside, and that there are specific designs you need in case of something like this happening. And then again, going through the different grades of making them shatter resistant or shatterproof, but still making them able to be broken from the inside so that you can get out if you have to. And that again is not something you expect as a parent or board member, a discussion you have to have in the process of designing learning spaces for children.
I don't know, Jimmie, you just said a few minutes ago, you're not an expert. It seems like between being a parent in the situation and being a school board member, you're learning a lot and passing a lot of information along. I don't even know. I mean, I don't have children, and I don't know what it's like to have this conversation. We were talking about before the show, how do you even address it? What do you say? And I feel like, what you did was the perfect thing. You were honest with them. And now you know this information as far as what will be done with the schools. But you're like, we could make better playgrounds instead. But we have to do this now. We have to do this. It's not even a matter of, it's preventative, but it's almost like it has to happen, or else there will be problems.
Well, when we're talking about allocation of resources, we've got X number of dollars, and where is it going to? Like you said, at this point in time in America, this is where the money is going to have to go.
Yeah.
We're going to continue our conversation with Jimmie Kaska. If you have any questions or comments, 855-752-4842. Jimmie, I want to talk when we come back a little bit about running for school board, being on the school board, what being on the board entails, and why you think that's so important. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Well, I walked along the edge of where the ocean meets your breath. I said, love, don't give me chances that I can't take. It was sweet, but now it's sour. Oh, that's a rhapsody of ours. And we'll all sing hallelujah till we break. Well, we walked along the edge of where the ocean meets your breath. We said, love, don't give us chances that we can't take. It was sweet, but now it's sour. Oh, there's a rhapsody of ours. Now we'll all sing hallelujah till we break.
welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvin coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us, you can call, you can text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Just a reminder, after the 11 o'clock news, we will continue our statewide text to win grown-up gift list contest. We will give you the keyword around 11:07 or so. You want to text that in using the Civic Media app, and you've got the chance at some great prizes. So make sure you download the app if you don't have it yet. Go to your app store, download it. It is absolutely free. Just look for Civic, Civic Media. We're joined by our colleague and Civic Media Sports Director, Jimmie Kaska, and he's going to be publishing a piece a little bit later on today after the shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison. 3 people are dead, a teacher and a student. The shooter also dead, and several, at least 2, I believe, are still hospitalized in critical condition. Not only is Jimmie a sports director here, but he's a school board member, parent of 2 small children who had questions after they heard you recording in your home studio, but when you were putting the news reports together for Civic Media. So I just think it's really important discussion to have, Jimmie, and your involvement too within the school gives you a lot of insight I think a lot of people don't have.
And for me, it was it was a matter of when I got on the board because no one else ran for it, and as I registered as a write-in, got a dozen votes, and here I am. But it gave me an opportunity to be a little more hands-on with education in my community. It's a new community to me. I've only lived here a few years, and really allowed me to deep dive into things I was already interested in education. I've been a volunteer for a lot of youth organizations. Big Brothers Big Sisters was a big part of my 30s, early 30s, I should say. I'm in the later 30s now. But I've also been a coach, a volunteer in my school. It's all part of, I guess, things that I'm very interested in. It's something that's very motivating to me because, my public school teachers and coaches helped me through a childhood where, was homeless at times, so it was, I have placed a lot of value on the work teachers and educators, coaches, any of those people do youth mentoring. But to the point, I've had to educate myself on this because my kids are, in the school, and I don't feel comfortable making any kind of decision if I don't know as much as I can about it, like reasonably know as much as I can. I think in another life, I'd be a researcher of some kind. That's kind of a passion of mine. I love researching and diving into academic articles and newspaper archives. I'm a nerd, but that's stuff I love. And learning about this part of it, as tough as it is, it's for the benefit of kids, right? And there's nothing to be more important than that. So I'm not an expert, but I have gone out of my way to try to learn as much as I can about it so I can make somewhat informed decisions, even if I'm not, somebody with a history in law enforcement, for example, or securing buildings or architecture, any of that kind of stuff. I've learned as much as I can to make a somewhat informed and educated decision on it. And I think that's helped me advocate more for the things even here locally when, again, the resources are pretty limited when you talk about, say, redoing an entrance to a building that's 80 years old to make it more secure, that costs a lot of money. I mean, just to replace a set of doors is, borderline 6 figures. It's really expensive. And that's money that could be going for, curriculum. It could be going for another support staff. It could be going for teachers. It could be going
a counselor.
For something. Yes.
Yep.
Youth and youth mental health is a big part of the article that I'm putting up on Civic Media about how limited that is. Just to find routine care in rural Wisconsin took me almost a year for my son. So it is really difficult to find youth mental health services in the state. I am very fortunate that my district has a school psychologist. That is a pretty rare thing to have these days in small schools.
Well, and I guess that's one of my frustrations is in the aftermath of something like this, it's always, it's not about the guns. It's about mental health, and we need to, more mental health and more services. But then when it comes time to pay for it, nobody wants to shell out for it.
And that's really the thing, right? School funding is very limited in Wisconsin. It's been tied to the number of people in schools, and for 70% of rural schools in Wisconsin, enrollment has been declining in the past few years. In my district, and just the high school, the enrollment has dropped from 231 to 185 in just 4 years. So it is, and that every student counts for part of the formula that you get to get aid from the state. State aid is over 2/3 of our school budget. So, the district I live in is a lot like many others in Wisconsin, small, rural, public. and having to really rely on local taxpayers now to support it through referendum, with both an operational and a facilities referendum passed in the last 7 years in this district. And it's like many schools in the state, that's the only recourse you have to help afford things like security updates. As I mentioned, 40 of 139 referendums in the fall, just in the fall last year, mentioned security as one of the reasons they needed more funding.
Yeah, don't let the Wisconsin Republicans tell you how generous and how wonderful they've been with finally upping the amount after decades of underfunding it. That infuriates me.
It's the greatest funding in a generation, Jane.
Yeah. Where can we look for this article a little bit later on today, Jimmie?
It'll be on civicmedia.us underneath our commentary column. It's on the front right-hand side of our websites. It'll go up there, and you'll probably find it as well on any of the Civic Media social media handles, as well as mine, at Jimmie Kaska.
Absolutely worth a read. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, Jimmie. Really, really appreciate it. You do great work for us at Civic Media, so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.
News is coming up next, and then our statewide Text to Win contest gets underway. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air on the vast, statewide, countrywide, yes, we're global, Civic Media Radio Network.
Don't criticize their own and why. Do as they tell you to, go on the devil to, come without your Maybe I'm mistaken, expecting you to fight. Or maybe I'm just crazy, I don't know wrong from right.
morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text, or leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Coming up this hour after the 11:30 news, Dr. Lori Hanks will be here for public Cervix announcement. If you ever have a question for the doctor, you can always email it to Jane Says, JaneSays, Jane Says at civicmedia.us. We'll wrap up the show as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today it's the Let's Keep It Just Between Us edition, okay?
A big old shh.
Don't tell anyone. Right now, though, it is time for Civic Media's latest statewide Text to Win grown-up gift list contest. It is underway this week in the 7, 11, 1, and 4 o'clock hours. We will have a different keyword for you to text in via the Civic Media app. So get your phone, pull up the Civic Media app, open that up, go to whatever station you like to listen to, whatever one is closest to you.
WAUK, of course.
And then you get ready to text.
Yep.
This is the word for this hour, Calvin. This hour's word is giving. Giving. Giving is the word. You want to text right now on the Civic Media app. Text the word giving. Giving. This hour we are playing for an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. Giving is the word. Giving. Even if you don't win one of the hourly prizes, no worries.
No.
You're still in the running for one of 8 grand prizes. Everything from luggage sets to espresso machines to robot vacuums. Giving is the word. Giving. Text that in right now via the Civic Media app. This hour we are playing again for an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort.
I heard, Jane.
Yes.
There's a way to get a bonus entry.
There is a way to get a bonus entry. So once you text the word giving, Giving, you will get a response back from Civic Media, provided you haven't blocked us.
Yes.
So if you want this bonus option, you'll have to unblock us.
Yeah.
But text the word giving, and then you'll get an email, a text back from Civic Media. Click on that link, and it's going to give you several options.
Yeah.
You can sign up to get our Civic Media newsletter, which is fantastic.
It is.
You can just follow Matenaer On Air on Facebook.
That's pretty cool.
Just give us a follow on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Pretty simple.
You can follow the podcast of Matenaer On Air on Apple. Or just follow WAUK.
There you, follow us.
And follow Matenaer On Air.
Yeah, follow us.
And you get a bonus entry.
You get one bonus.
You get one bonus entry.
per complete contest.
Yes.
You don't get it every single time. You
Right.
don't get it once a week. It's once.
It's
one
one
and done.
one bonus. One and done.
Yep.
That might be... We're still behind,
But Jane,
We are still behind.
Can we at least revel in yesterday? Can we at least have just give me the night, as
A moment of joy.
George Benson once said. Give me the night. Yesterday we had a few more than Todd Alba. I finally got you on board with the competition.
We got a shot.
I know, but
We have a shot.
I know,
But Todd is still ahead. That's all I'm saying.
not for long.
Well, we'll do our best. We're counting on you. Text the word giving, Giving, and spread the word, too, about Civic Media. If you like us, if you like the network, if you like our show, spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your family. We'd really appreciate it.
Don't let us down.
No, it's fine. It's all fine. And, whatever happens, I'm going to blame Albanian hackers, I've decided.
Space lasers
Just kind
again?
of- yeah, with space lasers. Yeah, just kind of randomly.
I heard Albanian space lasers are the best space lasers.
That's what many people are saying.
Many people.
Many people. So again, the word this hour is giving, Giving, for an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort. Good luck. Wanted to take a little trip down memory lane because we
Oh.
forget. I know
What's
I forget.
What's going on?
Headline reads from CNN, former FBI informant pleads guilty to lying about phony bribery scheme involving the Bidens.
What?
The super important, completely legitimate guy who had the dirt the guy who had the dirt, yeah, he pled guilty Monday to lying about this phony bribery scheme reportedly involving President Biden and his son Hunter. This was the central witness to this congressional Republican impeachment inquiry into President Biden. Their number one guy, their number one informant, he's got all the dirt, just pled guilty to lying about this BS bribery scheme.
So what does that mean then? I mean, does that mean we pack it up, we go home, and there's no...
James Comer's just like, yeah, well, oh, too bad.
Yeah, you know, sorry, Hunter.
Yeah, oops. 2 years. 2 years they have been investigating this.
Here's your laptop back. Sorry, buddy.
We oopsied.
Yep.
Oopsie on us.
Yep.
Alexander Smirnov, that's his name.
That sounds like a wrestler.
It sounds like a vodka. Alexander Smirnov entered his plea to a felony charge in connection with the bogus bribery story about President Biden and his son Hunter. Also with a tax evasion charge, stemming from a separate indictment accusing him of concealing millions of dollars of income. Prosecutors and the defense have agreed to recommend a sentence in between 4 and 6 years, which sounds pretty light when he gets sentenced next month.
Yeah.
He will get credit for time he has served since he was arrested in February on charges that he told his FBI handler that executives from the Ukrainian energy company Burisma had paid President Biden and Hunter Biden $5 million each around 2015. And then, he lied and made the whole thing up.
Oopsie doodles, didn't mean to tell a lie like that. Oops.
But you know what we can always count on?
Yeah.
Is their absolute reluctance to ever say they made a mistake.
No.
James Comer, who headed this investigation, 2 years, by the way, 2 years, was on CNN this morning. The reporter asked him, do you regret playing up this FBI informant all the time? Comer says, I didn't play it up. What? I'm pretty sure there's video of you, Mr. Comer, going on and on and on about how this was your smoking gun guy. He had it all. And now it's like, I didn't play it up. No. Interviewer says, you said it was a crucial part of the investigation. And Mr. Comer comes back with, well, everything was a crucial part of the investigation.
That's just another play in the book of Donald Trump of never admit you're wrong, never say you're sorry.
Exactly. Double down. Always.
And it's you know what? It works for people, but it makes Comer look like a coward and a fool. He is. He's a coward and a fool.
Comer said this morning again on CNN, Chuck Grassley wanted us to interview this guy. That's why Jim Jordan said that. I never said he was a crucial part of the investigation. And the interviewer says they just played it on Fox. So, yeah, it's double down. Ignore the facts.
So Hunter was a recurring character. He was a side player.
He was absolutely.
Gotcha.
Smirnov's identity, again, this was the supposed whistleblower. His identity was not publicly known before the indictment. His claim, though, was a major part in the GOP efforts to investigate President Biden and his family. Before his arrest, Republicans had demanded the FBI release the unredacted form documenting the completely unverified allegations, which they admitted they could not confirm if they were true. We don't care if they're true or not. Just give them to us so we can take it and run.
Yeah,
and that goes back to when we talked about Hunter Biden offered to testify in front of them, provided it was in an open forum.
Yes.
And the Republicans wouldn't do that.
And Hunter stood up and took his lickings too. He pled guilty. He got charged. He couldn't control what his father, people were like, oh, his father pardoned him. He didn't know he was going to do that. And at the time, Joe Biden said, I'm not going to do that. He has done it. It's over and done with. We move on. Besides, we're about to see Donald Trump pardon about 1,200 people. But the point is that this has been how long of our life. This is like once Benghazi was absolutely a no-go, it became this. Hunter Biden, his laptop,
Yes.
and Joe Biden, and it all was for nothing.
Yes. And how many millions in taxpayer dollars have we shelled out again for years and years of investigations that gave us nothing?
That's your money, folks.
But now we have Doge. So they're going to take care of all this useless spending, Greg. So we don't have to worry about that now that Vivek and Elon are in charge. Smirnov claimed to have contacts with Russian intelligence officials and told authorities after his arrest this year that officials associated with Russian intelligence were involved in passing a story about Hunter Biden.
Or lying?
Could it be?
I mean, that's usually what we call lying, not passing a story. I mean, when I was a young kid and I lied to my parents, I wasn't like, well, I just passed a story, Mama and Papa. No, he lied. And all of you lined up behind this guy and said, this is our dude. We got him. And now here we are.
Don't got him.
And they get and now they're gonna say, oh, it wasn't, he wasn't our guy, and it's no big deal. And
he wasn't critical to
Yeah.
this.
No.
That guy we said was so important.
Look over there, look over there, look over there.
The squirrel wasn't important.
Yep.
Yeah. Memory lane, I just think it's important because I forget this stuff. We forget. It's easy to forget.
Because there's so much junk.
There is a lot floating around out there, absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we might have some interesting reading material right around the holidays.
Why is that, Shane?
That's also coming out of Washington, D.C. We'll have all the details when we return. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
She don't mean no harm, she just don't know what else to do about it. Jane said, Jane said,
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Sweet Calby coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. You can call, you can text, leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Dr. Laura Hanks coming up after 11:30 news with public Cervix announcement. Right now, though, it's underway this hour. Civic Media's latest statewide text-to-win contest. Our grown-up gift list. The word you need to text via the Civic Media app right now is giving, Giving, giving. We are playing for an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. Everyone who enters, whether you win or not, is in for one of 8 grand prizes.
Nice.
Including a snowblower. We've got espresso machine, robot vacuums. Some really, really nice stuff would make a great, great Christmas present. So the word this hour is giving, Giving. Don't forget, once you enter, you should get a reply back from Civic Media, provided you haven't blocked us.
Correct.
If you click on that, you can sign up for a bonus entry. This is only going to get you one.
Yes.
But we're either going to ask you to get the newsletter, which is really great. Follow Matenaer On Air on Facebook.
Yep.
Follow WAUK. Get our podcast on Apple.
I mean, in my opinion, like beyond an extra vote, you should be doing all this stuff anyways. I mean, you could follow our podcast, subscribe to it. We have a separate podcast for This Shouldn't Be a Thing. So you can even just a small 8-minute pick me up in the day.
Just a little laugh.
A little morsel of fun.
A little laugh for you.
Laugh.
So giving is the word this hour, Giving. Good luck. Jean from Eau Claire is on the line. Good morning, Jean. Thank you for joining us. What do you want to say?
Well, good morning, guys. Thank you so much for covering this issue regarding Hunter Biden's laptop. If you ever notice, they got one thing, and they'll play it and play it and play it. They spent so much time. I watched a lot of those hearings live in the different committees, and I thought, what in the devil's going on? If people would only turn on their TVs and watch what these yahoos are doing, they'd never vote for them again. And so, we've been fox-conned in Wisconsin, so they're conning every day that they're in office, and I hope people start waking up and using their telephones and calling them back. Thank you very much, and you guys have a great day. Outstanding coverage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jean. You are the best ego fluff we have. I really appreciate that. But I do think it's important. And I think Jean makes a good point in that there is a strategy to repeating things over and over and over and over ad infinitum.
Yeah.
Because it sinks in. Or even if it's not true, it gets a home in your brain.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about the I don't know, the way that the Trump GOP moves, which is just steamroll, keep going until people just sort of accept it or move on or believe it. Yeah. But either way, they get to just have their way, period.
Well, we're going to move on because I want to get to this because this made me laugh. This also broke this morning. The House Ethics Committee secretly voted earlier this month to release its reports on former Representative Matt Gaetz before the end of this Congress. So that is now expected to be made public after the House's final day of votes this year as they leave Washington for the holidays.
I guess someone's not running for governor or senator of Florida.
Which had not previously been reported, is a stark reversal. Yes, because last month, the panel voted along party lines not to release the results.
Yeah.
But they had a super secret vote? How does that work?
I mean,
is there a special handshake?
They get to do whatever they want.
Is there an initiation? I mean, what? They held a secret vote?
Yeah. Why not? Well, of course they can.
Well, in this article from CNN, which is talking about this, it does point out that the only way that this would have passed and that they're going to release this is because some Republicans voted to release it.
Yes. And even Derek Van Orden is on record. We have the clip of him saying, if there's something worth discussing, it should be
public.
It should be public. And if it exonerates him, he should be apologized to. If it doesn't, then something needs to be done from that point. But Republicans did agree that this needed, or not. Some. My mistake. Some
and they don't want us to know which ones they are.
Of course they
which
don't.
is why it was a super secret vote. The report concludes a years-long probe into numerous allegations against Matt Gaetz, including whether he engaged in sexual misconduct, used illicit drugs, shared inappropriate images or videos on the House floor. I've seen other Republicans talk about that.
Yeah. Yep.
Gaetz would bring photos of women he'd had sex with and show their pictures around on the floor of the House.
And that's not even like the worst thing he did.
Right.
He's being accused of doing. So
this should be some really interesting reading. I know I'll be reading it.
Grand.
And will this affect his new job, Matt Gaetz? OAN?
I don't know.
Is sexual assault even a career killer anymore?
Not in some circles.
Sure doesn't seem to be.
I mean, not to make it about me, but in comedy, there are a lot of comedians getting accused of sexual assault. All they have to do is say if they don't get arrested or charged or anything, all they do is say no. And then there is a certain segment of individual who says, yeah, good job. And then they just sort of fade into this world of making tons of money off of, not getting caught.
Matt Gaetz, by the way, has vigorously denied all the allegations, and he said the entire investigation was a witch hunt. He posted on Twitter that he was fully exonerated and that he never had sexual contact with anyone under 18. We'll see. We'll see what this report says. And I just find it fascinating that there were even Republicans on this committee who want this to come out. Granted, Matt Gaetz does not appear to have been very popular.
No, and also this is not an indictment. It's not a trial. It's what they have found. What happens after this
remains to be seen.
Exactly. But yeah, running for future office. Well, hey, Jane, all you have to do is repent.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's that too. News is coming up next when we return. Public Cervix announcement with Dr. Laura Hanks. Stay right here. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the vast, statewide, countrywide. Yes, we're global on the app. We heard from someone in New Zealand.
Yeah.
On the Civic Media Radio Network.
Give me the night. Give me the night. Give me the night. Give me the night.
mad love. So take a look what you've done. 'Cause baby, now
Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and the Calvinator are coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text or leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. It is underway this hour. Our statewide text to win grown-up gift list contest. The word you want to text this hour via the Civic Media app is giving, Giving. Giving is the word. We're playing this hour for an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. Your next chance in the 1 o'clock hour could be either $100 or an overnight stay. And then in the 4 o'clock hour with Dom. Right now, though, the word is giving, Giving. You could be a winner just like Lisa from Butternut. I so love that there's a Butternut, Wisconsin. That just makes me happy. I did not know that beforehand. It's near Park Falls.
I feel like that's somewhere Jeannie from Eau Claire goes to. I'm going to Butternut.
I'm going to Butternut.
Yep.
We need to go to that's on our list for our statewide tour.
I think you know who needs to join us?
Todd.
Dr. Hanks.
Dr. Hanks.
Let's go to Butternut. Oh,
Let's
yeah.
go to Butternut, right? Dr. Laura Hanks is here for public Cervix announcement. Good morning, Dr. Hanks. How you doing? Is everyone healthy at your house?
Last I checked, we were doing okay. There's an RSV outbreak at school, so we're just playing the waiting game. But in happier news, I didn't want to forget this because of my walk-up music. I had a patient the other day I did a hysterectomy on, and she knew I was a Taylor Swift fan. And she brought me a Taylor Swift friendship bracelet that said "No more bad blood."
Nice.
See what she did there?
Get it?
Nice.
Get it?
Get it.
Got it. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I was. It was one of my favorite gifts. I gotta say.
Do you get a lot of gifts from patients?
You're really not supposed to, and you're not supposed to accept. Things like that just like are kind of funny. Jokes.
It's not like she's giving you a car.
No.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it was just kind of like, a silly thing off to the side. But, thank you cards are always when I was in residency, one of my attendings, I remember the first thank you card I got that was just very heartfelt, made me cry. And she was like, "You're going to find a spot in your house for those because you'll get a couple more, and on your bad days when you don't want to be a doctor, you're going to open up that box and you're going to read those cards and remember this is why we do what we do."
That's wonderful. That's
very
wonderful.
good idea.
And a good reminder for all of us to maybe give a card
Thank you.
to our health providers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank them. That's a wonderful reminder, Dr. Hanks. Thank you for that.
Teachers and bus driver. I was just getting all of that stuff for my kid. This is the perfect time of year to just say thank you and to let people know how much you appreciate them in all parts of your lives.
Well, and I think bus drivers, those people have the patience of a saint. Teachers
right?
also, and I also saw someone suggest leave a card for your mailman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Little something in the mailbox. I love
Exactly.
that.
Just say thank you and what a drag it must be during the winter, and thank you for doing it anyway.
You look
I
great
know.
in shorts.
You look great in shorts.
I know. I always feel bad because this is the only time of year I ever send mail, and I'm really crazy about the holiday cards. I don't know why. I just love doing it. I just love to go to the mailbox with just stacks, and I'm like, oh, this poor mail person.
Do you do the whole family letter update? You do.
I do a small, so I don't because anytime I get the full letter, this day and age, I can't, a full letter is so hard to read. So I do one that has little, 1 or 2 sentences about each of us and our year.
That's nice.
That's good.
That's very nice.
That's enough.
Yeah, that is enough.
Yeah.
I think too. All right. You sent me this article, and this is kind of disturbing, and it has to do with pregnant people getting drug tested
Right.
and the results that they're finding. But now, because this is written in doctor speak, and
sorry.
I think I have the gist of it. But from what I got from this article, Dr. Hanks, women are going in for care, and then they're getting tested for drugs, even though that's not why they're there.
Yeah. So the percentage of women that are getting tested, and when we say tested, we're talking about urine, like a urine drug screen.
Urine sample. Okay.
In this study, they found it was about 11%. But the reasoning for it was that was listed was kind of all over the place. The number one reason I believe was because of lack of prenatal care. So I think what I'm thinking these doctors were thinking was at what ACOG recommends is at the very first prenatal visit, we should be verbally screening all of our patients with a standardized questionnaire about any drug use, because it is important for us to know as far as risks to the pregnancy, to the patient, to the fetus. But that doesn't necessarily mean doing a urine drug screen. It's asking, like, let's get back to where we have an open communication and can discuss these things and discuss the risk. And we do that in our clinic regularly. And then even if they admit, patients tell you that they're using, you don't need to confirm that with a drug screen, because drug screens are notoriously not great when you do the urine. They often have false positives, false negatives. Just wonder, cocaine, for example, is only in someone's system for 2 or 3 days. So it doesn't add anything. And it's just time and money. And then it's in the patient's chart permanently, right? So then where it gets really messed up is there are laws in certain states that have mandatory reporting for providers to tell the authorities, and then the authorities can bring this patient up on child abuse before the baby's even born. So this was a law in Wisconsin until I don't like this term, but this is what it got termed, the cocaine mom law, back in 2017. Overturned this because there was a patient who tested positive for drugs and said, you have to go for inpatient treatment, and she refused, and she got put in jail for child abuse. And that law was overturned, but there are still some draconian laws in this state, and it is so disturbing when you really break it down. Like what are we doing as providers if we do this drug test and it's in the patient's chart? What does that then lead to? What's the next step for the patient, right? So you really, I think this is, I brought it up to your attention because I think it's something obviously not a lot of people think about, but I think that we as providers need to be very cognizant of who, why, what good is this information going to do me? What is this going to do for me and my patient, most importantly?
Well, and especially if it can deliver so many false positives, and that's not even a useful, reliable tool.
Right. And I don't know the percent. I don't know, and there probably isn't a good number because all of us use different labs. There's still so many different kinds of like drug screening you can do. Different reasons for that. So there probably isn't a good number. I'm sure it's not very high, but it is possible.
I would also think that this is only going to lead more patients to want to not share information with their doctors, right?
Exactly. So kind of the point of this is getting away from us doing this urine drug screening and going to the universal questionnaire so that we can create that area of trust with our patients so that they can tell us and we can have a conversation about it and the risks and what this means going forward in their pregnancy. I have patients, that are using different kinds of drugs, and we talk about what that risk means. How can I help you? What resources can I get for you? Something else, with the opioid epidemic, and there's the increase of use in pregnant patients has gone up 130% over the last 10 years.
Jeez.
Yeah, and something that people also may not realize is that drugs like Suboxone that are help people stay off opiate once they realize that they have a problem. They'll say, "Well, I'm pregnant. I want to go off of those." And actually, the recommendation is no. This is not the time to stop your stable therapy. It would be worse for you to go off and then relapse and use on the streets something that you don't know, or you have to use needles or something like that could. So I've had patients that are like really well-intentioned and really want to do the right thing, and they're just like, I want to be off everything, I want to do this right. I've been stable on Suboxone for 5 years, I want to stop it. And I'm like, please don't. This is not the time. This is a stressful time in your life. You're going to have more stressors. And this is not the time to make adjustments to that medication.
Especially
I respect you, you know.
If you've managed to go for 5 years,
Yeah.
that's a victory, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and you can go off of it, don't get me wrong, but pregnancy is not the time to start doing that, to start making those adjustments because of the increased risk of relapse.
If you're just joining us, Dr. Laura Hanks is here for public cervix announcement. If you ever have a question for the doctor, you can email it to Jane Says, JaneSays, Jane Says at civicmedia.us. Doesn't necessarily have to be pregnancy related. We've talked about flu and influenza and whooping cough and bird flu and lice.
Lice.
From practical application. Yes, real
Never
life,
talk about that again.
real life experience with lice. I will never forget that. I will never forget when you sent me the photo of you and your kids having to go get that special shampoo.
My first thought was, oh, she's going to shave their heads.
I did cut all my daughter's hair off. She got a bob cut because I was like, I can't.
No, we're not. Oh, no. I have, and this is off topic now just a little bit, but I did see this morning, and I don't mean to spring this on you, that there has been one confirmed case now of bird flu in Louisiana. And
oh, really?
That patient has been hospitalized.
Oh, geez.
So
it'll be very interesting to see. I've been curious about after COVID how our country's going to handle these cases, because I feel like we're still kind of coming out of that, right? And I will be interested to see how that is handled moving forward.
If this becomes a wider breakout.
Well, and I asked the question before. We have people who to this day we're still of all ages are like, oh, COVID, either it wasn't real or it's just a bad cold or a bad flu. What will the next, and you've said it, and I know that Pat has said it, and what will the next pandemic have to look like? Must it look like for people to say, dang, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I'll take the medicine, I'll stay inside, I'll wear the mask, I'll wear the hazmat suit. What will it look like for us to take it seriously as a society? Not just a certain portion, but entirely, or I'll say mostly.
See, and I think that there would have to be a physical manifestation, some horrific physical manifestation.
Pustules.
Oozing pustules. And then, but it is gross. But I'm very serious when I say this, Dr. Hanks. That was part of the thing with COVID. Well, I can't see it, so it doesn't exist.
Or it's just like, like you said, a bad cold.
It's a cold.
And,
yeah.
I feel like, we were scared for about a month or two.
Yeah.
We were scared for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It was, I remember it. It was mid-March. And by the second week of March, people were like, I want my haircut. Where's my haircut? I want to do these things. And that was it. Then the kumbaya was done.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And I hope it doesn't come to that, but I think that, it'll be very, very interesting, especially with the politics that are like back in place.
We live in interesting times.
That's one word for it.
We're going to miss you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We will see you a little bit later on in January. Dr. Laura Hanks, public cervix announcement. Thank you so very much, my friend. Happy to you and yours.
You too.
Stay with us when we return. This shouldn't be a thing. Let's just keep it between us edition. This is Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, the board lord, coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call, text, or leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. You still have about 8 minutes to text the word giving, G-I-V-I-N-G. Text the word giving via the Civic Media app. We are playing this hour as part of our statewide text to win grown-up gift list contest for an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort. Text the word giving, G-I-V-I-N-G. Careful when you type it. I saw living come in. That's not going to get you anywhere. And I believe it was Andrew also pointed out, if you misspell the word, you won't get that bounce back message from Civic Media, and then you don't get the bonus entry.
Correct.
So make sure you spell it correctly. Giving, G-I-V-I-N-G. This hour for an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort. Everyone who enters, though, even if you don't win an hourly prize, your next chances in the 1 o'clock hour with Todd and then in the 4 o'clock hour with Dom Salvia, you could still be a grand prize winner. We have 8 grand prizes, including luggage sets and a snowblower and some espresso machines. So make sure you text the word giving, G-I-V-I-N-G, and good luck. It is 11:53. That means it is time for...
This shouldn't be a thing.
If you ever have a thing you think should not be, send it into Greg and me at janesays@civicmedia.us, Janesays, Jane says at civicmedia.us. Today's This Shouldn't Be a Thing is the Let's Just Keep It Between Us edition. Headline reads, what's in the CR for members? A pay raise.
What?
So they have come up now with a continuing resolution.
Yes.
In order to keep the government funded.
Which is kicking the can down the road.
Again.
Again.
And it's 1,500 pages.
The CR?
The CR is 1,500 pages.
Of course it is.
Stuck in the CR, a little thing about Congress getting pay raises. Lawmakers have not gotten a cost of living raise since 2009. The new continuing resolution includes a provision. I'm going to have to read this slowly because I had to read it 5 times this morning and you had to explain to me what it means.
Yeah.
Includes a provision that amends language in a previous CR that incorporated a provision from an earlier omnibus blocking any member from getting a cost of living increase. Nothing as simple as members and senators get a pay raise. No. They had to do this other thing. I'm assuming so that the public would not realize they're getting a pay raise.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things about this. So first of all, the term omnibus, as far as legislature means, it's legislation. It's when it's numerous small bills are on one broad topic, one big bill that has all these small bills. Sometimes also known as a Christmas tree bill, where people put their
wishes.
And they took the language from the omnibus and they put that in an old CR, and then they amended the CR this time, and now they're getting a cost of living increase.
Yes.
Which is a fine way to around the Constitution, because the 27th Amendment says if you vote yourself a raise, that raise doesn't come in until the following. So some of those people would get, I mean, I'm here's what I do not know. Is if, according to the 27th Amendment, would a regular raise, not cost of living, have to come in January or in 2 years?
That I do not know.
So that's what I'm wondering. But a cost of living increase is a nice, sneaky little way of...
Well, and again, they haven't had a raise since 2009. That was right after the crash of 2008. They're making $174,000 a year, which I think to a lot of us sounds like a pretty good living. But it is not inexpensive to be in Congress. It's not. You have to have 2 places to live.
You can. You
can, right.
I mean, a lot of people, they'll live with each other. The congressmen will live with each other. But let's face it, no one can afford it.
Well, no kidding. I mean, just look up who's the richest member of Congress. And some of them are doing quite well. For themselves. $174,000 is like, it's nothing. But again, it's not that I necessarily have such a problem with them getting a cost of living adjustment. It's the sneaky way they do things. That's what bothers me. Because they don't want to take the heat.
Well, no. And also, it's why haven't you voted yourself a cost of living increase? Both parties have been in charge since then. I mean, just do it and don't throw it in a continuing resolution, which, by the way, continuing resolution looks bad enough it is because you can't pass a budget.
Well, this isn't passed yet. We'll see what happens with this CR.
Yeah.
And this is only going to take us into March, and then we're going to be right back where we were. So,
yeah.
Anyway, that wraps up today's episode of
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
Coming up tomorrow, it's Thursday. Brittany Merlot will be here. We do have snow coming our way. For all the people who've been waiting for it, I know there's lots of folks up north who are probably pretty happy.
For
Snowplow drivers.
For the businesses, yay.
Yay.
For me,
I know, driving in it. But Brittany will be here with a little weather update. The Journal Sentinel sports guru, J.R. Radcliffe, will be here to talk all things sports. Bucks with a big win last night. And many, many other topics yet to be determined. I hope you can join us. Thank you, Greg and Calvin and all of our engineers. Without you, nothing works. And thank you most of all for calling and for texting and for listening. It means the world. I hope you find some joy today and you have the chance to share it. News coming up next. Keep it right here on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll see you tomorrow.